Hello dear students, welcome to our biology program. In our last episode we studied reproduction in men. Today we are going to study reproduction in men to complete it. Last time we studied the male reproductive system. Today we are going to study the female reproductive system. Female genital system, it is not a complex one, but it has a very important structures. It consists of two ovaries, two oviducts, the uterus and the vagina. The function of this genital system is produces the ova, the female sex hormone, progesterone, estrogen, providing a safe place for completion of fertilization and embryo development till birth. So the functions of this genital system is the production of ova, female sex hormone, and the completion of fertilization of the embryo. The site of this female genital system, it is the organ of this system lies behind the urinary bladder in the pelvic region. They are strongly connected in this position with elastic ligaments which allows its expansion during pregnancy. So the position, it's very important, and this position for helping it to be protected from all sides. First, we found that it is behind the bladder and in the pelvic region, so it is a wide area inside our body. They are strongly connected in this pelvic one by elastic ligaments which hold it in this part, which allow it also to expand during pregnancy. Let's begin by studying each part of this genital system. The two ovaries. The two ovaries lie on the sides of the pelvic cavity. They are on the two sides of the pelvic cavity. Each ovary equals in the size as the almond. One almond, peeled almond, and has oval shaped. It has a shape of an oval shape. During childhood, each ovary contains several thousands of ova, great number, in various stages and of development. So in our childhood, we found that the females their ovaries contains several thousands of ova in different stages of development. But after maturation or the maturity period, we found that these thousands of ova, they are reduced into 400 only, and they are mature during the 30 years of active reproductive life. They are matured during these 30 years. This active reproductive is also called fecundity years. Fecundity years. For each ovary, one mature ovum is discharged alternately with the other ovary per month. It secretes the maturation hormones for regulating the menstrual cycle and embryo development. Also, the maturation hormones, they are important for the menstrual cycle, which is important for being that the uterus is prepared for the expecting babies and the embryo development. The two fallopian tube, this is the second part. After the ovaries, they comes out from the two sides of the uterus. The two fallopian tubes, they are also called oviduct. Each oviduct has a funnel-shaped opening. At the end of, at the tip of this oviduct, there is a funnel-shaped opening. This funnel-shaped, it contains protrusions like fingers. And also it lies just opposite to the ovary to be sure, to ensure the fall of the ovum in it. So the oviduct has a funnel shaped at the end in front of the ovary or opposite to the ovary to ensure that the ovum, once it falls, it will be folded inside the funnel of this fallopian tube. Also, there is it is provided with this finger to this finger-like process to receive the ovum, and it is lined with cilia also to pull this ovum towards the uterus. So we are going to find that the fallopian tube, it is connected from one side with the uterus, and from the other side it is opposite to the ovary. And in order that the ovum fall directly inside this fallopian tube, we found that the fallopian tube, it is ended by a funnel shaped which has fingers to pull this or to get this ovum inside it. And also the fallopian tubes, it contains cilia or lined with cilia to direct the ovum towards the uterus. The second part after that, it will be the uterus. It is an elastic muscular sac-like. Elastic muscular sac-like. It lies in the pelvic cavity. It lies in the pelvic cavity. It has thick, strong muscular wall. It has a thick, strong muscular wall lined with glandular membrane. First, the uterus, it lies in the pelvic cavity. Second, it has thick, strong muscular wall which is lined with glandular membrane. Also, it is an elastic muscular sac. This uterus, it is an elastic muscular sac. Why it is elastic muscular sac? If I ask you, I give reason for this part. Yes, a muscular sac and elastic one, in order that once this female become pregnant, so that it can be expanded with the pregnancy stages, into the pregnancy stages. The uterus is ended at this point. The uterus, it is ended by the cervix, which open into the vagina. So the uterus, it is ended by, with the cervix and open into the vagina. The embryo is formed inside the uterus for 9 months. The embryo is formed inside the uterus, or it is kept inside the uterus to complete its development for 9 months. The end of this female genital system, it is the vagina. The vagina here, it is a muscular tube. Its length is about 7 centimeters. It is muscular tube and about 7 centimeter length. So it is a muscular tube to be expanded during delivering the baby. It starts from the cervix to the genital opening. This tube is lined with a membrane that secretes mucus fluid to moisten the vagina. It has folds to allow the expansion during birth. It contains some folds in order to expand during birth or delivering the baby. Then what about the ovary? We will notice the following. From this study, that the ovary consists of a group of cells in different stages. The ovary consists of group of cells in different stages. And the ovum is inside the Graafian follicle. This follicle is transformed into a corpus luteum after the release of the ovum. So another time, the structure of this ovary, as in the figure, we found that this ovary, it is like an almond, as I said before, and it is also held by ligaments inside the pelvic cavity, consists of a group of cells. This group of cells in different stages, and the ovum inside the Graafian follicle. So there is a group of cells in different stages, and it is ended by the Graafian follicle, which contains the ovum. This follicle, once it is pulled or released the ovum, it is changed into a corp, which is called corpus luteum, and this is after the releasing of the ovum. This corpus luteum degenerate during the 4 months during pregnancy, during the first 4 months. The stages of oogenesis. If we ask ourselves how this ovum it is formed and from what it comes. This process of oogenesis, it begins by having 3 stages or 3 phases. The most important stages, they are multiplication phase, the growth phase, and the maturation phase. So this is the first of this oogenesis. The oogenesis, it is the formation of ovum. It begins by the multiplication phase. In this multiplication phase, we found a mitotic division takes place. For whom? For the primary germ cells. This germ cells contains 2 N chromosomes or diploid for forming the oogonia. So the mitotic division in multiplication phase, a mitotic division takes place in the germ cells, or what we call it primary germ cells, and these primary germ cells are diploid. They form the oogonia, which is also diploid. This phase occurs in the embryo. Pay attention to the places at which these phases takes place. The first one, which is multiplication phase, it occurs into the embryo. The second phase, which is the growth phase, the oogonia, which is diploid, store food and increase in size and are transformed into primary oocytes, which is also diploid. So the growth phase, it is the second stage or the second phase. This second phase, it is the oogonia, which is diploid, which is stored food and increase in size, and then transformed into primary oocytes, which is also diploid. This phase also takes place inside the embryo. The last one, it is the maturation phase. The last one, it is the maturation phase. In this phase, the primary oocytes, 2N, is divided by first meiotic division into secondary oocyte, and first polar body appears or produced. In the primary oocyte, if it takes place by a meiotic division, so in meiotic division, two things happen. The first, half the number of chromosome, it is found. So the cells produced from this division, they are haploid. The second one, two cells are produced. One of them, it is called a polar body, and the oocyte is large, becomes larger than the polar body. So the two cells are first polar body and the oocyte. The oocyte, it is bigger or larger in size than the polar body. Then the secondary oocyte is divided by the second meiotic division, giving an ovum and the second polar body. The first meiotic division, one polar body and the oocyte. The second meiotic division giving an ovum and the second polar body. The later polar body or the second polar body, it is divided another time by meiotic division into two polar bodies. It is divided another time into two polar bodies. So the resultant is 3 polar bodies and 1 ovum. Fertilization of the ovum and number of sperm. In this case, we found that the ovum here, number of ovum, as I said before, it doesn't exceed the number of 400 after the maturation of the female. The ovum here, it consists of a cytoplasm and a nucleus. So our ovum, it consists of a cytoplasm and a nucleus. This ovum, it is enveloped with a thin cellular coat, and its cells are held together by hyaluronic acid, The enzyme secreted by the acrosome of the sperm dissolve this coat, a part of it, and penetrate into the position of penetration. Therefore, millions of sperm must be secreted or must be found. They are required to penetrate the ovum in order to ensure that one of them will penetrate and fertilize this egg. And now, after we studied the female genital system and its importance beside the oogenesis, let us answer some questions. First question: what is the function for each of the following? The ovary, yes, producing ova and female hormones to regulate menstrual cycle and embryo development. Very good. Second, the funnel of fallopian tube. The funnel of fallopian tube, it lies just opposite to the ovary and contains the finger-like shape in order to ensure the fall of the ovum in it. The uterus, Provide a safe place for completion of the embryo development till birth. Provide a safe place for the completion of embryo development till birth. Very good. Number B, explain the stages of oogenesis. The stages of oogenesis, this process, it is a process in which the ovum is produced. These stages includes three important stages. The first phase, which is multiplication phase, the second, the growth phase, the third, maturation phase. In multiplication phase, in which the mitotic division takes place in the primary germ cells diploid, forming the oogonia diploid also. This occurs in the embryo. The second phase, it will be the growth phase, which in which the oogonia diploid cell store food and increase in size and are transformed into primary oocytes, which is also diploid. Also, this phase takes place inside the embryo. The last one, which is the maturation phase, in which the primary oocyte diploid is divided by first meiotic division into secondary oocyte and one first polar body. Both of them will be haploid, and the oocyte is larger than the polar body. Then the secondary oocyte is divided by second meiotic division, giving an ovum and a second polar body. The later polar body is divided by mitotic division into two polar body. The meiotic division for him, the second meiotic division, into two polar bodies, so the resultant is three polar bodies. Question after that, name the site of each of the following. Multiplication phase, it occurs into the embryo. The site of the multiplication phase, or where it occurs, this multiplication phase, it occurs in the embryo. Number 2, the uterus. The second part, it is the uterus. It lies in the pelvic region behind the urinary bladder. It lies in the pelvic region behind the urinary bladder. Another question, explain by drawing the structure of the ovary. Explain by drawing the structure of the ovary. Yes, the ovary, it is like an almond in size, and also it lies into the pelvic cavity, and also it consists of a group of cells in different stages, and the ovum inside the Graafian follicle. So the cells are found into different stages, which represent at the end the Graafian follicle, which contains the ovum. This follicle is transformed into the corpus luteum after the release of the ovum. And look to the diagram here. Yes, you found the stages, different stages of the cells, and the ovum once it is released, and the Graafian follicle, and the releasing of the ovum, and the corpus luteum appears. Choose the correct answer from between brackets. First, the vagina is a muscular tube with point length 12 centimeter, 15 centimeter, 7 centimeter, 20 centimeter. Yes, It is 7 centimeters. Very good. The second question. After maturity of female about gap, ova will be mature. After maturity of the female, about ova will be mature. 500, 1000, 3000, 400. Yes, 400. Very good. From the organ forming the female genital system, from the organs which form the female genital system, the 2 ovaries and 2 oviducts, 1 ovary and 2 oviducts, 2 testes and 2 oviducts, 2 testes and Cooper's gland. Yes, 2 ovaries and 2 oviducts. Now, my dear students, unfortunately, we reached the final point of our program. See you next time.